Discussion keeps the world turning.
This is Roundtable.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to a special Spring Festival edition of Roundtable. I'm Heyang, coming to you from Beijing. Today, we're celebrating the spirit and significance of the Chinese New Year. For the Chinese people, this holiday is about family, honoring traditions, and ushering in a new year full of hope and prosperity. We're so excited to have two wonderful guests joining us via video link from Africa. And here they are, Bernard Momanyi, Editorial Director with Capital FM in Kenya, and Jean Paul Lam, President of New Chinatown Foundation in Mauritius. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hi, Heyang, and thank you for having me on this show this morning.
Hi, Heyang. Hi, Beno. And hi, everyone.
Great. It's lovely to have you both on the show. As China and Africa continue to build stronger ties, especially in trade, culture, and community, our guests will share how this celebration is bringing people together across continents. Let's dive right in. To kick things off, could you guys introduce to us your country, where it is situated in Africa, and a few interesting things about it? Bernard, why don't you go first and tell us more about Kenya?
Good morning once again from Nairobi, Kenya. This is a country located in East Africa, and I must say is one of the best countries in Africa because we have the best tourism, we have the best national parks to visit. I think we are the only country in the world that has a national park just a few kilometers, less than 5 kilometers from the city center.
And I appreciate it when you're speaking to a proud man of his country when he uses a lot of superlatives. And what about you, Jean? You're talking to us all the way from Mauritius. So tell us more about your country.
Yes, we are from Mauritius. I'm from Mauritius here. And it's located in the middle of the Indian Ocean to the east of Madagascar. Little island, 1.3 million of inhabitants, and then you have the best air in the world, white sandy beaches, very famous, and a very big diversity of a multicultural country. Chinese New Year is the official public holiday.
Oh, wow. So you guys get some time off.
Yes, we're going to take one day off by the government, but normally all the Chinese community, we're going to take 1 week off. A long holiday spending with families.
Yeah, that's exactly what the Chinese New Year is about for the Chinese people. And also, Jean, you are from a family moved to Mauritius a few generations ago, right? Tell us a little bit more about your family's history.
We can say Chinese history we have is more than 240 years of migrants to Mauritius. But my family, the Lam family or the Lim family, I'm the fourth generation. At home, we still speak Hakka or Mandarin, but normally in Mauritius, everyone is very diverse and very multi-language, we can say.
We'd love to hear how you celebrate the Chinese New Year and what you enjoy the most about it. Bernard, well, take it away.
Wow. Chinese New Year, as it's known, it's one of, I think, the major events in the Chinese calendar. And here in Kenya, it's celebrated by so many events, mostly hosted by the Chinese community in various places, at the Chinese restaurants. It's a time where we get to visit some of these restaurants to sample their best foods. And when these events are held, of course, they're usually very colorful events with a lot of performances. You know, we get to watch so many performances that are performed by not just Chinese people, but as well as the Kenyans themselves. We have Confucius Institutes in various universities here. And it's actually so good to see always some of these students, how they've mastered the arts, you know, of Kung Fu, acrobatics, and various other performances that are really fascinating to watch.
Oh, that is fascinating. You know, when you have the local people who've joined in the performance, and some of the performances, like you mentioned, Kung Fu and other activities, it's not something you can learn overnight. So to really practice and join in with the Chinese people to celebrate this big holiday, I already feel the festivity in the air. And tell us a little bit more about that, Bernard.
Just like you rightly said, some of the moves we see them perform are not something somebody can learn within a day. And it's even more fascinating when we're told that most of them have actually learned them here in Kenya. Some of them, when I got a chance to speak to some of them, and they told me they've never set foot in China, but they've learned all that here. I mean, the choreographs, the moves. I mean, it's just so interesting to watch. Uh, how they are able to coordinate so well doing all this, and how they've embraced the Chinese culture, and that is a really very good kind of exchange that we're having of cultures.
Yes, that's a great sentiment to share. And also to get everybody involved with, as a Chinese person, to hear, with your culture, that's something of pride and also just joy that everybody can sort of get in the action together, especially during this festive period. And Jean, tell us about how the Chinese New Year is being celebrated in your country and what's the most special part for you?
Normally, we can say in Mauritius, everything is about family reunion for the Chinese community. The first thing I'm going to see my grandmother on my father's side for dinner, and then the next day on my mother's side, and then we're going to meet the friend together, the Chinese friend, and then the local friends, the colleagues. Everything is about dinner, eating, laughing, drinking, and sharing a good time together. And then because there's a lot of events happening in Chinatown or in all the shopping malls, you have a lot of lion dance. Everywhere is very colorful. You have a lot of lanterns all over Mauritius. You can see a lot of lanterns. People wear the handfuls. This year, 2025, people like to wear the handful, walking around, take pictures, do a lot of TikTok. But the Chinese and non-Chinese also it's started to become popular. This is what we say, the Chinese spirit. We work the whole year. We don't take leave. We don't take holidays. We work very hard. But Chinese New Year is 1 week. We go for a break, and then we keep sharing, giving gifts away, and then share the good times together with.
Well, when you say that a lot of Chinese people don't take any days off during the year, and it kind of coincides with how we generally perceive Chinese people who are very diligent, hardworking, and it's finally the time that you have almost the perfect excuse to slow down a little bit and to truly enjoy your time. That's still, I think, sort of a mindset very much alive here at home in Beijing and in China, I feel. And also, you mentioned sharing. That's something that isn't always mentioned, but when I think about it, that is so true. That could be also another layer of understanding of the Chinese New Year. Such a beautiful perspective, the Chinese New Year about sharing, whether it's about sharing meals, stories like what we're doing here, and joy with loved ones. It's a time to connect, reflect, and give. And that's still, one big part of the Chinese culture. So I really appreciate you highlighting that.
I agree with Lam. The Chinese community or Chinese people are very interesting because throughout the year, like you said, you'll hardly notice what they are doing, but they are very busy. And but on this particular day, if they have an event in a mall, the mall is turned red. There are all lanterns. I mean, it's just red all over, and that's when you realize we have so many Chinese around, and what is happening here? So you just attracted to go and see, and when you just walk in, you end up staying for the whole event because it's so colorful. You get to see those kind of performances that I was speaking about, the dragon dance, the kung fu, the acrobatics, it's just so fascinating, so interesting. When I try to compare our culture with China in terms of food, for example, in Kenya, we are not used to having so much food on the table at a go. But when you go to, we were invited for dinner or lunch with Chinese friends, you get to eat a lot of food, a variety of them, and it is just, and it becomes even better during this particular season of the Chinese New Year celebrations. You get to eat a lot of various foods, and it's really, really, really interesting. I think you should be having this kind of celebrations even more.
Bernard, what's your favorite dish?
Wow, you mean Chinese food?
Yeah.
Beijing duck always. I also like the dumplings.
Yeah, that's something definitely us Northerners in China, we definitely have for Spring Festival. And because, it's quite soft and, it's wrapped in dough and has delicious filling, yeah, in a way, it's like a little token of unity. And we definitely have to have it for the Chinese New Year. And Bernard, just out of curiosity, you mentioned a minute ago that in Kenya, you don't have all these dishes at one go. How do you usually eat then? I mean, what's your sort of style of eating for Kenyans?
Well, we are used to having, let's say, if you're having rice, maybe just rice and beef, and maybe some vegetables.
You don't have a whole bunch of
But
dishes, or at least two or three?
maybe just two at a go. Let's say chicken and rice or beef and rice.
Okay.
But when I compare to this to the Chinese, how the Chinese do it is very interesting because you'll find pork on the table, you'll find chicken, you'll find beef, you will find all these dishes together. And even the presentation itself is really, really makes the food even more delicious. I actually like attending Chinese events, or when my friends invite me to dinner. It's really something that I really enjoy.
Sometimes I want to add also, because during the dinner, there's sometimes I got a few friends say, "Wow, so much food! What a waste! Sometimes it's too much food." But I want to share also, because normally Chinese community at home we save a lot. We are quite saving money. We eat very simple. We don't. But the Chinese New Year is the time we want to bring a lot of food on the table and share it to people. It's not. It's not. This is just the moment we are so happy because it's New Year. We believe that the more we share, the more we're going to get.
Yes, indeed. And Bernard, you work in the media in Kenya. Could you tell us a bit more about how the Chinese New Year, as well as, news stories from China, are being covered over there?
Well, if I speak about media coverage, I'll say as compared to activities of the Chinese community and activities in the Chinese calendar, I think the Chinese New Year is widely covered because you will see it in most television stations, you'll see it in newspapers, widely covered. From Couple FM, I'll say, for example, we usually do a live stream on YouTube. We do it on social media as well. And we dedicate the whole of that week. We actually dedicate a page where you'll be able to find Chinese New Year celebrations, capturing various events that are usually done here in Kenya. So it's really a big event. It's a big news event for us.
Well, speaking of media and also maybe a little bit of entertainment, well, the China Media Group, or previously known as, CCTV, Spring Festival Gala has become a contemporary tradition for the Chinese people when we consider our celebrations, especially on Chinese New Year's Eve. I wonder if you've heard anything about this Spring Festival Gala in the past, or have you caught a glimpse of it, maybe on social media? Bernard, this question is still for you.
Yeah, I've watched the event, and it's really, really, really colorful. I don't know whether you want me to speak to any specific one that I've enjoyed. Like, I really spent a lot of time watching the dance of the lucky fish. The girls that are seen dancing in water, making really nice moves. The costumes, I mean, the way they dance is really something you just want to replay. You want to keep replaying, and I think it sets a really good move for. I mean, a good mood for the Chinese New Year celebrations, and I hope to watch even more.
And Jean, originally your family's from China and you can understand Mandarin. So you must have caught this show before, right? What is it like watching in Mauritius?
For my family, it's quite a tradition. I guess for few families in Mauritius also, when we have all parents are here, it's quite a tradition. It is the next day at noon that we are going to sit down and watch together the CCTV Chunwan, the gala show. We're going to watch it on TV. We're going to have lunch together and watch it on TV and enjoy. Normally, we're very fascinated with all the creativity because we're expecting new shows here and there. I remember last year it was the Stone Bridge. The Stone Bridge, it makes me feel that, the stone is step by step, because when we were talking about China, I'm born in 1978, people were laughing and here, but now the economic boom of China, everything it is a modern China. And then you have a show, very disciplined, very radiant, beautiful. It make people dreams. And then the show, you can see a lot compared to before, a lot of fusion. I do organize a lot of events in my life. I guess I have at least 1,000 events that I have been organizing. I have 600 events in Mauritius, almost 400 events in China that I have been organizing. But when you see the organization of that kind of show, the level, the standard, for me, it's just like perfection. It's cutting edge.
It's definitely a lot of work behind the scenes. It
A lot
takes
of work.
months for the folks behind the production team to put it together. So
What makes me ask every time, how can you every year push the level up, and up? It's already so high, and you keep pushing it every year. When
Yeah.
you look at this, you say, wow, not easy.
Well, I suppose our colleagues in China Media Group, they're under a lot of pressure because, you're in the spotlight. Hundreds of millions of people are going to be watching this. So the pressure really is on, and they pull out all the stops in terms of creativity, technology, and also just lining different shows up for a fantastic performance. Yeah, they really try very, very hard. And in what ways does the celebration of the Chinese New Year foster greater cultural exchange between Kenya and China from your perspective, Bernard?
I think it plays a great role because it's a time to showcase China to Kenya and for Kenya to also learn more about China, in terms of food, in terms of culture. On this particular day, for example, you'll see how colorful the venues are, the lanterns all over. And they usually actually put even desks where you can be able to ask so many questions about China, anything you want to know about China, how to go to China, places to visit in China, how to learn Mandarin and all that. And even you'll get the Confucius Institutes putting up desks to register people, if you want to learn Mandarin or you want to join the universities. And even the embassy actually puts up a desk and gives people information on how to apply for visa. So this really helps to foster that kind of understanding, answering all the questions anybody wants to know, and above all, also the entertainment. That really brings China and Kenya together. So I believe it's part of the spirit of the Chinese New Year.
And Jean, in Mauritius, how do you think this celebration of the biggest holiday for the Chinese people can help locals maybe to foster a friendly sentiment towards the country and the culture, and maybe vice versa as well?
For us in Mauritius, we find it very natural. It seems that it brings the trust, it brings the fusion of cultures. you can see when we do a lot of my events, for example, we have a lot of songs, a lot of shows. We have different communities putting together, singing together. We have a local motion celebrities coming and sing together with Chinese celebrities coming from China. So the fusion, the mix is the good understanding is here, and especially what I like when the cultural show is very active, is very vibrant. It makes the young generation say, "Hey, mom, I want to go to China. I want to check. Maybe I want to learn Mandarin." It's going to bridge here and there. And then anything also the businesses, sometimes it's a good opportunity for all our businesses. We meet the clients, we share around the food, but understanding we're bridging the connection between that.
The Chinese New Year has been added to the UNESCO's Intangible Cultural Heritage list, and that's been seen as a huge milestone for the Chinese people. Do you think this can also contribute to getting people more excited and interested in Chinese culture, and especially during this period of time?
Yes, I agree. Actually, this is a big milestone because Chinese is one of the official languages in the UN, for example. So, and this is because it's spoken by so many people, more than 1 billion people in the world. And it is, in fact, I think it ought to have been done so long ago, adding it to UNESCO, because this celebration is huge. It is equally celebrated by more than 1 billion people across the world. So it is actually, it was long overdue, I will say, for it to have been added. So it is a huge milestone, and I believe it's going to foster more understanding, cultural exchange across the world, and for more people even to get to understand the Chinese culture. I think it's part of opening up China even more to the world.
Thank you.
For us, the Chinese New Year as intangible cultural heritage, we are so proud. So we are so proud like this. Even this year, we have noticed one thing is people start asking. We have a lot of performances. They are going to search deeper for the meaning of a tradition, the more discovery of a culture, and then it just opens the eyes of the whole nation, the whole people are asking, are so curious about the Chinese culture. Because before, you can say the Chinese New Year is a little bit more only for Chinese. Now it's just become more popularized, and the openness, especially I like to say the openness of the Chinese culture, make the young become more and more interested.
Yes, and as we conclude our conversation today, what are your best wishes for our listeners as they celebrate the Chinese New Year wherever they are in the world?
From Nairobi, Kenya, I want to wish the Chinese people, the Chinese community, all the best and success throughout the year. May they continue sharing. I mean, it's a time to share and celebrate. So let this continue, this festive mood of the new year.
Wish all the Chinese community or all the people around the world keep sharing the love, sharing the joy that we have.
And today's discussion has truly highlighted the beautiful ways in which the spirit of the Chinese New Year is shared beyond borders. Whether in Kenya, Mauritius, or China, the Chinese New Year is a time to celebrate family, hope, and the promise of new beginnings. A heartfelt thank you to our wonderful guests, Bernard Momanyi, Editorial Director with Capital FM in Kenya, and Jean Paul Lam, President of New Chinatown Foundation in Mauritius.
Thank you, Heyang, for having us on the show and having to share with us and with you our perspectives of the new year. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. It's a great honor to be among us and to share our perspective about the Chinese New Year, and wish all the best and Happy New Year to everyone.
And it's been a pleasure having you with us, wishing all of you, wherever you are, a joyful and prosperous Chinese New Year.